In the ancient book of Genesis, one single tragic decision set a dark precedent for all of humanity. It was the moment Cain, consumed by jealousy and rage, lifted his hand against his brother Abel. This act, the first murder, stained the very soil and echoed through generations, defining a world where violence became an answer. But what if it didn't? What if, in that critical moment, a different choice was made? What if Cain never killed Abel? Let's explore a timeline where forgiveness triumphed over fury and brotherhood rewrote our destiny. The scene is familiar. The sun beats down on a vast open field. Cain stands alone, his heart a storm of resentment. He had offered his harvest, the fruit of his labor, to God, but it was not received with the same favor as Abel's offering. His younger brother, a shepherd whose flocks were blessed, now approaches him. There's no gloating in Abel's eyes, only genuine concern. He sees the turmoil on Cain's face, the deep-set anger that has carved lines of despair. Abel's voice is gentle, filled with an earnest desire to understand. "Brother," he says softly, "talk to me. What troubles your spirit? Your face is so downcast. Let me share your burden." Cain's hands clench into tight fists, his knuckles turning white. The words of jealousy, the accusations of unfairness, rise in his throat like bile. He imagines striking his brother down, silencing the voice of favor that seems to mock his own efforts. The urge is a physical force, a coiling serpent in his gut, whispering that violence is the only way to reclaim his pride, to extinguish the fire of his envy. He takes a half-step forward, his shadow falling over Abel. The air grows thick with unspoken hatred. But then he hesitates. He looks into Abel's eyes and sees not an enemy, but his own blood, his only brother, the boy he grew up with, played with, and shared the world with. For a flicker of a second, that shared history outweighs the present pain. In this alternate timeline, Cain chooses restraint over rage. He doesn't strike. He doesn't lash out. Instead, a choked sob escapes his lips, a sound of profound inner conflict. He stumbles back, shaking his head as if to clear it of the venomous thoughts. At this very moment of pivotal choice, something extraordinary happens. A warm, divine light descends from the heavens, enveloping Cain in a gentle golden glow. It's not a punishing light, but one of guidance and profound love. A voice, ancient and all-knowing, resonates not in his ears, but in his very soul. It is the voice of God, speaking directly to the heart of his struggle. "Sin is crouching at your door," the voice says. "It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. The choice is yours, Cain. The power to overcome is within you." The words wash over him, extinguishing the flames of his anger and replacing them with a wave of shame and sorrow. He falls to his knees, the hard-packed earth meeting his body with a thud. Tears stream down his face, not of rage, but of regret for the path he almost took. He finally understands the weight of his choice, the precipice upon which he stood. "I don't want this," Cain whispers, his voice cracking. "I don't want to lose myself to this darkness. I don't want to lose my brother." He buries his face in his hands, surrendering his pride and his pain to a higher power, admitting his weakness for the very first time. Seeing his brother's genuine anguish, Abel doesn't recoil or judge. He moves forward and places a comforting hand on Cain's trembling shoulder. The touch is grounding, a simple human connection that speaks volumes. "Then let's walk together," Abel says, his voice steady and reassuring. "You are not alone in this, brother. Your struggle is my struggle." In that moment, the hierarchy of divine favor dissolves. There are only two brothers in a field, one who has faltered and one who offers a hand to help him stand. Cain looks up, his eyes red and swollen, and sees only compassion in his brother's face. He accepts the offered help, allowing Abel to pull him to his feet. They stand together, side by side, the air between them cleared of tension, replaced by a fragile but powerful new bond. From a distance, their parents, Adam and Eve, watched this unfold. They had seen the storm brewing in their eldest son and feared the worst. They knew the destructive power of a single poor choice all too well. As they see their sons walking back towards them, not in conflict but in unity, a profound sense of relief washes over them. Eve clutches her chest, a silent prayer of thanks on her lips. Adam looks at his wife, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "A new path has opened for them," he says, a sense of wonder in his voice. "A path I never imagined was possible." They witness a future once destined for violence and grief being reshaped, at its very inception, by an act of forgiveness and humility. The curse of their own past will not be repeated today. This single choice sends ripples through time. A future once defined by blood and vengeance is now built on a foundation of mercy and cooperation. In the years that follow, Cain and Abel work in harmony. Cain, with his deep knowledge of the soil, continues to farm the land. His harvests are bountiful, not because of divine competition, but because he pours his energy into nurturing the earth instead of his own resentment. Abel tends to his flocks, and his animals provide wool and sustenance for their growing family. They teach each other their skills. Cain learns the patience of a shepherd, and Abel learns the foresight of a farmer. Together they build the first settlement. It starts small, just a few shelters and cultivated fields, but it is a community founded on unity and mutual respect. Generations later, the world looks profoundly different. The settlement has grown into a thriving town and then a city. Children, the descendants of Cain and Abel, run freely through fields of golden wheat and green pastures. There are no walls built out of fear, no weapons forged for war. Instead of conflict over resources, there is a system of shared harvests and collaborative projects. The story of Cain's choice becomes a founding principle of their civilization, a lesson taught to every child. That empathy is stronger than envy, that reconciliation is greater than revenge. Their culture flourishes, developing art, music, and philosophy centered around themes of unity and the sanctity of family. The very concept of murder, of brother turning against brother, is a foreign, nightmarish idea. A cautionary tale of a path thankfully not taken, one choice, one moment of hesitation, one act of forgiveness. That's all it took to change everything. A world without the first murder becomes a world where the first instinct is not to destroy, but to understand. A world where humanity's story is not written in blood, but in the ink of brotherhood. This is the world that could have been, a glimpse of a reality just beyond Eden, where the first family healed its first wound and set mankind on a course toward a brighter, more compassionate destiny. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into what could have been, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more explorations of alternate histories.